Government now has gone into an all-out emergency mode to tackle the spiral in dal prices. The group of ministers formed to monitor the availability and the prices of pulses took stock of the situation arising from the dal price spiral. The ministers met for the first time, led by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. The government revealed that 5,000 metric tons of more dal dal imported to meet the demand has already arrived and been distributed. Another 3,000 tons is now being imported to bring down the prices. The centre revealed that over 36,000 tons of pulses have been seized in countrywide raids in just 2 days. Finance Minister adding that government outlets are already selling dal now at rupees 120 per kg. Remember, officially dal is selling at over 200 rupees per kg in some markets.
The amount which has been recovered in these raids has already touched 36,000 metric tons. So 36,000 metric tons has been recovered, and that now will be slowly offloaded into the market. The raids are still continuing, and over the next 2-3 days, in more raids which are being conducted by the states, more and more of the hoarded quantity is likely to be.
Massive countrywide raids against hoarders of pulses. An alarmed centre cracking the whip. The raids have unearthed huge stocks of pulses illegally hoarded. Raids in Maharashtra alone unearthed over 23,340 tons of pulses. Importers, meanwhile, have questioned the government move to impose a 350-ton cap on pulse stock limit in godowns.
15 अक्टूबर से 31 जनवरी तक लगभग 25 लाख टन पल्सेज और आ जाएगी और नेक्स्ट उसके बाद और हम समझते हैं 10-12 लाख टन आएगी. लगभग पूरे इस साल में 50 से 55 लाख टन के बीच में पल्सेज का आयात हो जाएगा.
But the sky-high prices of dal is forcing a spate of attacks on trucks carrying pulses. In UP's Badaयूं, armed attackers looted a truck loaded with urad dal. While the driver was killed, the attackers fled with pulses worth ₹16 lakh.
ड्राइवर की हत्या उसके हेल्पर ने स्वयं करी, कुछ साथियों के साथ में मिलकर के. कुछ लोगों को उसमें गिरफ्तार किया गया है. ट्रक वगैरह और जो बोरियां वही थी गायब थी वो भी मिल गया है, ट्रक भी मिल गया है. इस संबंध में और आवश्यक कार्रवाई की जा रही है.
In Nagpur, a dal smuggling racket which looted 2 trucks has been busted. 2 people with dal mafia were arrested with 2 trucks loaded with dal worth ₹25 lakhs.
शिकायत मिलने के बाद पुलिस, यहाँ की महाराष्ट्र पुलिस सबसे अच्छी पुलिस है जो तुरंत कार्रवाई करती है. लेकिन अंतर्राष्ट्रीय गिरोह को पकड़ने के लिए एक बड़े स्तर पर वो बात करनी पड़ती है.
Meanwhile, action against hoarders led to marginal fall in arhar price. Arhar declined to ₹205 a kilo from ₹210 in retail market yesterday. Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me now, Tajamul Haq, former Chairman Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices. I'm also joined by Harish Damodaran, Agriculture and Rural Affairs Editor at the Indian Express. Let me come to you, Harish, first. Look at what has been revealed today. The Finance Minister is saying in the last 48 hours, 36,000 tons of dal has been recovered in nationwide raids. What this suggests is there was massive hoarding. Until now, we were told that the real reason was underproduction, which still could be the reason, the gap between production and consumption of dal. But the fact is that 36,000 tons has been found in raids over the last 48 hours. What does that say? Massive hoarding has taken place, obviously, Harish, over the last few weeks.
I don't know how much, how do they define hoarding? What do they mean by hoarding? See, like I think some of these actions would make even an Indira Gandhi blush. This is totally unprecedented. We are going back to the 70s and 80s. Like for example, how can you say that I will impose stocking limits on importers? They are getting the material into the country, and then how can you put these stocking limits? And same thing, like for example, say if I'm a dal miller, See, I would be keeping certain stocks, right? And I borrow from banks, right? And this working capital is against my stocks. Now, how do you say that what is hoarding, what is excess? I would come back to the same thing. I mean, we need to focus on production. Why isn't the government announcing the minimum support price for chana and masoor? Why are they not doing it? And because sowing has already started, and we need to augmenting production is the only way out. In the case of in the case of dal, you cannot. These kinds of actions, I think, are not going to work. You need to.
You're making an important point there, Harish. You're saying the government is looking at this from the wrong end. You're saying the government needs to incentivize the production of dal and the production of pulses, instead of trying to resort to these raids and which remind you, or various restrictions that they are now putting on imports, which reminds you of the Indira Gandhi days. Do you agree, Mr. Haq, that the government has acted too little too late and perhaps is looking at the wrong end of the stick?
I don't think this is at the wrong end. This was important not just now. In fact, this would have been taken about 2 months back. If you see, the dal prices started soaring towards the end of May. In fact, as soon as the India Meteorological Department announced that there will be deficient rainfall in the country this year, the speculators and hoarders, they started hoarding and creating artificial scarcity.
No, so that's exactly it. Does it take, therefore, on that, does it take the price of dal to cross this 200 rupee mark to act against hoarders? Hoarders have made all their money already, obviously.
That is true, but now they are hoarding, so at least even this step would help and would help improve the situation. That is my kind of assessment.
As you rightly said, this problem was noticed in May, June.
May, June, yes.
And they have acted against hoarders in September. That's 3 months late.
Too late, that is true. And secondly, this is not correct on the part of Damodaran to say that MSP kind of thing. MSP for the last few years has been hiked like anything for pulses, relatively much more than in the case of other crops.
No, in the case of cereals, every farmer in this country, sir, is today growing wheat. He's not necessarily, he's not growing pulses, he's not incentivized to grow. We are facing a serious underproduction of pulses.
Yeah, but 2-3 things are needed for this. In fact, one is the hike in the support prices. Second thing is the actual market intervention, in the sense procuring pulses. The third thing is the technology support. The yield of pulses in this country is abnormally very low. 6 quintals, 7 quintals, 8 quintals, as compared to in some of the countries where you get 2 to 3 tons.
Let me bring in Harish on that. Harish, where is the problem? You're saying the problem is today a farmer, I presume, is not being incentivized to grow pulses. We've also had unseasonal rain at the start of the year, which could not have helped matters. Most Indian farmers today increasingly seem to be growing cereals and not pulses. And as Ashok Gulati told me last night on this same program, that we are going to face this problem annually. Do you agree?
Precisely. I don't think there is any lack of research on pulses. There are many good varieties, many disease resistant varieties. You know, see, pulses are prone to a lot of diseases like fusarium wilt, you know, sterility mosaic virus. And our scientists have come out with good varieties. So the problem really is because more and more of your pulses production is being undertaken in marginal lands, you know, where there is no rains, where you don't get rains on time. You need to push more and more pulses production in irrigated areas. You look at it today. Your basmati paddy in Punjab has crashed to the levels of normal the normal permal paddy. So why can't farmers there grow arhar or chana? You know, and it is not happening precisely because I think the MSPs are not enough. You look at, for example, today I and you are buying chana today at 60 rupees. And what is the MSP for chana? It is just 3,100. I mean, the government should straight away raise it to 4,000. And I agree with Dr. Haq that you should also procure. See, every year you are procuring some 30 million tons of wheat and some 32 million tons of rice. Why can't you procure 3 million tons of pulses? pulses,
Are you
and
then
you create a buffer stock from that. Whereas Arun Jaitley wants to create a buffer stock by importing. I mean, which is completely ridiculous. We have to increase our production in irrigated areas. We should grow pulses in Western Maharashtra. We should grow pulses in Punjab, in Haryana. Why should pulses be grown only in Vidarbha and Marathwada and Gulbarga and Raichur? And this year has been extraordinary.
Are you saying it's a man-made crisis in that sense? Are you saying this is a man-made crisis? That the real crisis is man-made? This could have been preventable? So. Are you saying this could have been preventable?
No, it's not entirely man-made. See, like we've had two back-to-back monsoon failures, which is the first time since 1986-87. That is entirely whatever God-made. You know, you had three consecutive bad crops. But the only way to insulate against these kind of bad crops is more irrigation, and which means pushing more and more pulses production in irrigated areas. Today, hardly just some 7-8% of your entire pulses production is under irrigation, whereas there is 95% in sugarcane, 90% in wheat. So this is the only way out, and the market and the farmers should be given the signals that grow more pulses. You move away from sugarcane, move away from rice, move away from wheat, and that can happen only if you provide good minimum support prices and procure and procure.
Let me bring you then, Dr. Haq, for a final word.
All these things, these are all only.
Let me then bring you in for a final word here, Dr. Haq. Has the government got to change its policy now? Because otherwise, next year too, we will face a similar crisis. Yes, there have been 2 consecutive years of deficient rainfall which haven't helped matters. But how am I going to incentivize the farmer to shift back to pulse production rather than focus on sugar cane or sugar? That is the real crisis. Not the crackdown. The crackdown on hoarders has come too little too late, as we've all agreed.
Yeah, but this is also again short-term kind of measure.
Yes.
In the long run, you need to improve production, domestic production, for which an integrated support system has to be created in terms of technology transfer. Damodaran says there are technologies, but it is not being transferred to the farmers because of lack of extension support. Then third thing is, even otherwise, unless the relative returns between different crops, like rice wheat system, if it gives it a better return in Punjab as compared to pulses or wild seeds, farmers will continue to grow rice and wheat, and you will have a continuous problem of shortage of pulses. So the point is, this has to be tackled that way.
You have to incentivize today the farmer. You've got to find a way, whether it's through a minimum support price, you've got to find a way to incentivize farmers to grow pulses. Otherwise, what has happened this year, this crisis will keep recurring. Yeah, 30 seconds, Harish, quickly.
Rajiv, I have a small point to make. For about 3 years, between I think 2012 to 2014, chana prices, actually farmers were selling chana for 2,400, 2,500 per quintal, which was as against the minimum support price of the 3,000 and 3,100. Nobody ever bothered about farmers at that time. And so what happened is, the same farmers who were growing chana, they shifted to wheat because for wheat there is an assured procurement and everything.
I take your point.
So that is precisely. So my fear is now farmers this time may plant more chana and all these things. Again, there will be a surplus. There will be a glut, and pulses prices will crash, and nobody will talk about pulses after that, and it'll disappear from the newsrooms.
I'm going to say one thing. If pulse price hadn't even reached 200 rupees, we wouldn't be discussing it as the top story. That reveals also the problem with the prime time news and television. It required the price of dal to cross that psychological mark of 200 for us to wake up, and it's required that to happen for the government to wake up. So I think the government needs to focus on food policy, and we in the media also need to focus a little bit more on what concerns you and me, the price of our food. Dr. Haq, Harish Damodaran, appreciate your giving us as we continue to tackle this issue of the country's dal prices.